Greetings and hello there listeners, you are tuned in to Metal Punk and Radio Talk with DJ Silmith, episode number 47. This episode brings, first of all, the house guests, the special guests Féleth from the north of Norway, from Atla in Norway. Also we are going to do the best of the scene countdown contest, the best top 10 songs from the metal and punk scene that ends up in my inbox. I have set up in some form of order, so we will listen to that, and it's called the best of the scene countdown. I hope you are ready, because I am ready. Silmith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 10. Alright, next up is Neo Nera and the single Savior. Check it out, tune in, don't miss out. Silmith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 9. The time is now to stream up Canadian death metal band Sadistic Embodiment from the album Bloodspell, releasing 18th of September. You'll hear the song Phantom Tormentor. Stay tuned in.
Extreme mental or physical trauma can cause persistent, disturbing thoughts, feelings, or dreams, and horrifying alterations in conscious perception.
Twilight surrounds me.
Silvermist in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 8! The podcast is now going to stream up thrash death metal band Thanatopsis and their album Initiation, setting to be released on the 23rd of October 2020. The name of the song is Grim. Stay tuned in.
Our fate through determination, perseverance of the soul. Homicide, genocide, trouble things that we decide. Policies and taxes, all things that we cannot control. Governed by lunacy, overthrow the hierarchy. All these thinking and it's up, we shall overcome. Policies and taxes, all things that we cannot control. Governed by lunacy, overthrow the hierarchy. All these thinking and it's up, we shall overcome. Systematic abuse, setting aside of policies, doctrine of hate, diplomacy, hatred, virus, ramps through your subconscious. Lead your psyche tortured of the ground. Symbol of truth, just on facts, systematic abuse, setting aside of fallacies, doctrine of hate, diplomacy, hatred, virus, ram through your subconscious. Lead your psyche tortured of the ground.
Yes, indeed. We also have an interview special going with Féleth from Norway. We're going to start out with question number 1. Let's see, question number 1. Tell the listeners about the band. What inspired you to start? Who are the members and how did the band come to life?
Hello, my name is Brage and I'm the bassist of the death metal band Féleth. We're based in a small town in the far, far north of Norway, which is called Alta. Yeah, I can tell you a little bit about how Féleth came to be. It originally started out as a 4-piece thrash metal band called Ironbound. This was before me and Espen joined. They did a couple of gigs, high school, local festivals and things like that, and gathered a bit of a following. But as I've heard the story told to me, their bassist and vocalist at the time, he discovered girls. And I can imagine, yeah, you know how things goes from there. Band practice gets down periodized and stuff like that. But then while that was happening, Espen joined the band. And later on, after being drinking with the band, he fired him. And they continued as a 4-piece band without the bassist. They changed their approach a bit and went more into the death metal scene, but like still heavily influenced by thrash. And they kept on playing that, and then recorded their first EP called The Covenant, which you can hear is kind of a thrash metal approach to death metal. It sounds really cool. It's out on Spotify too as well. And later on, right before that EP got released, I've been studying out of town for quite a while, and for 1 year I was back just to do some work, like, I'm just tired of studying and I take a year off. And I know that the guys have been looking for a bassist for quite a while. You see, I'm originally a guitarist. I've been studying at conservatories and such, but I know there's a great bunch of guys. I just want to hang out, I want to have a band to play with, so I kind of invited myself into the band and said like, dude, I'm going to join your next practice with bass. Yes, and that's basically how I got in. And then we started playing, and had a great fun. I learned their songs, we did some covers together, and then we had our first gig at the festival. And like when you play live with a band for the first time, and like you feel like this kind of, it clicks, like this is it. This is fucking great. It was like that experience, you can say. About 3 years later, we had enough songs to start recording our first album. And to us, that's a huge milestone. The recording sessions took a while, because we live a bit spread at the moment. So, it took maybe a bit longer than it should have, or a lot longer than it should have. But in the end, we got our first album, which we're really proud of. It's called Depravity, and it came out this May 22nd. Yeah, and I can tell you a little about the current members. It's me, Brage, on bass. We have Alexander on guitar, Thomas on guitar, and another Alexander on drums. And lastly, we have our vocalist, Espen Dangleberries, and he does the screams, or vocals, or whatever you want to call it. But it sounds cool. And lastly, we have a quite different inspirations when it comes to death metal. Me, myself, I really like technical death metal. I like, when I write music, I try to come from that angle, and kind of think like, ooh, I don't want the bass to follow the guitar, because the guitar part is boring. So like, I want to do something interesting to make, like, switch it up a little bit. Just because, it sounds cool. And I know a drummer, he really likes cryptopsy and death, and even Tchaikovsky, really loves Tchaikovsky. Our vocalist is majorly the deathcore, and Infant Annihilator, and like those like insane vocalists, like out of this world. Our guitarist Thomas, he is somewhere in between the technical death metal and deathcore. So he's like, Shadow of Intent, that's his jam. He's also into the Faceless, stuff like that, which is really cool. Lastly, our guitarist Alexander, he's probably like the mildest music taste of us all, but he really loves the latest release from the band Rivers of Nile, Where Owls Know My Name, which I also think is a great release. It's like, to me, that was the album of the year when it came out. I was a bit of a sleeper on that album, but holy fuck, it's great. And he also likes A Perfect Circle and stuff like that. So he kind of likes his death metal a bit more melodic and chill. And and you can say, like, because we all have the different inspirations, when we write songs together, it's like, and it becomes like this mix of everyone's influences, and I think that's what makes it sound like us. It's a bit different, a bit of everything.
Alright, back to the interview. Question number 2 for Féleth from Norway, Scandinavia. Question number 2. What are your strides and drives during music creation? What sort of music do you like to portray, and what do you look for in good lyrics?
Yeah, our strives and drives when it comes to writing music and like playing music. I think for us, we make music because it's fun. We're kind of writing music. We don't write music for anybody else to like. We write it because this is what we like and what we think is fun to play. And to us, that's kind of the goal when we write songs. But like, we don't call the song complete before like everyone's happy with it. So it's like kind of a quality control, but at the same time, and the songs have to be fun to play, you know. And I think that's kind of the thing that I find mostly rewarding with playing with this band. And I think everyone does. And I like the song; they sound cool. They're fun to play to, and that's a big plus. When it comes to what our music portrays, it's like it's actually more of a question to our vocalists, because the way we work when you write new songs is like you usually make some riffs, write them down in Guitar Pro, and send them to each other. Like, can you check this out? This is cool. Can you add something? I think it's a really cool approach, because like when you get a riff or something, you just add whatever you like. You do it like in your own way. You kind of you add like your own spice to the song. And I think that's a really cool approach, because like then you really get the influences a bit from like where everyone is coming from. For the vocals, it's a bit of another thing, because Espen does all the vocal stuff himself. He writes everything, and he knows everything. He always gives us lyrics, but to be honest, we usually never read them. So he just comes to band practice and like, hey, you have to do some backing here. When both me and Thomas, who do the backing, are like, okay, what do we say? Where? And then he just tells us just that. And then we do it. The vocals in general are about the human nature, death, depravity, and religion. And sometimes he writes about like things that happened historically, and things like just kinda enrages him, but like, you know, it's the spirit of death metal. Be angry, write angry music. But I think that's a really cool approach.
On to question number 3 for Féleth from Norway, Scandinavia. Tell the listeners a bit about your fans. What type of people are they, and how do they respond to the band?
Okay, if I'm to tell a bit about our fans, since we're still just a little bit of a small band up in the north, we just had our debut album out, first one, and yeah, I feel like it's a good release, and we got some good feedback overall. But like the most of our fans are people we know, or you know, in the same town. You live in a small town, you know most of the guys who like you. And most of the guys are really nice people. Most of them are close friends, and we usually hang out with them and drink and talk shit, and we just have fun times, actually. That's mostly what we do with our fans. We drink and have fun with them.
Silversmith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 7. Next up is the artist The Mytopia Condition from their upcoming album Event Horizon, releasing on the 16th of October. You'll hear the song Separation. Silvermist in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 6. The podcast is now going to stream up Autokatalytica. From the album Power Clashing Maximalism, you will hear the song Boredom. Stay tuned in. Silvermith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown. Now hit spot number 5. Next up in the podcast is T-Rex Marathon from their album Days Without Incident, releasing on October 16, 2020. You will hear the song All for Nothing.
What if it's all for nothing? What if we're all meant to lose? Oh no, you don't deserve it. No, no, you don't deserve it. What if it's all for nothing?
It is about time to ask Féleth from Norway the fourth question of my interview. Let me see here. Question number 4 wants to know, what has the band been up to lately in forms of gigs, music creation, as well as band members' spare time?
Yeah, like lately we've been doing, because of the corona, we haven't had any gigs. We had some couple of gigs cancelled. But we went ahead anyways, and we did our album release, and we did a streamed album release gig actually, with like pyrotechnics, lights, full production, everything. And it was nice that one of the local festivals we had to cancel, they like figured out like, fuck it, we'll have a streamed festival instead, and like we want Féleth to play their debut album. And yeah, so that's what we did. And it was a really cool video. We'll release some material soon, some live music videos and such from that very gig.
It is time for question number 5 for Féleth. Question number 5. Which is the band's greatest concert/gig endeavor?
When it comes to like our favorite gig, I would say like we have 2 gigs that really stand out. First of all, we can talk about the latest one we did, like the stream gig. For the first time actually, we played with in-ears, and we tried to use with the like not backing tracks but like click tracks on the with our in-ears. And when I heard some of the footage and like the audio, like after the gig, we just rewatched the stream just for fun, and like, whoa, it's like almost sound like playback at times, and like that's to me is like really impressive, because like, whoa, does it sound like this? And like I'm really satisfied with that one. We had like pyrotechnics, and, like for the first time, a massive light show, and like it was like a really, really cool gig, and that was like a really cool result, which I'm really happy with. The only gig I should talk about is the one where we actually had an audience, you know, like before the corona and stuff like that. We did a festival gig. We played at one of the venues, which we were closing out that night. We played really late, but like, you know, the end of the night, everything is like through the roof. Everyone has fun. It's like this intense audience. You have like this mosh pits, crowd surfing, and even our vocalist's mom is like slammed in the stage floor. And it's like this. You almost stopped playing, but like you saw, oh, okay, she's moving. Keep on playing. Fuck yeah. And it was like one of the sickest gigs we did. I think we debuted like 4 new songs, and like, whoa, it was like one of the most intense gigs I ever had, and like, holy fuck.
Féleth is a metal band hailing from Norway, and it's time for question number 6. Question number 6, which of your songs are your favorite, and why?
To me, like, one of our sickest song is like one of the songs we haven't released yet, but well, you have to wait for album 2, but like from our current album, I can say, like, for me, I think Hollow Words is the song that I like the most, because it sounds like this cool, really cool drive to it. It just like flows really neat through the whole song. I really like the transitions, and like it's really the song feels fluid, and I really love the sound of the song too. It sounds like it's huge. I don't know how to describe it. The vibe is like almost like this kind of vibe that Revocation does at times, and I think it's really, really cool.
Silvermith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown. Now hit spot number 4. The podcast is now going to stream up Edmonton's metalcore outfit Sionis. This is from their debut single Asenia, and is from their upcoming album setting to be released in 2021. Stay tuned in and check it out, motherfuckers. Silvermith in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hit spot number 3! Next up is artist Unfair from their album Illusion, set to be released on the 23rd of October. You will hear the song Discovery, stay tuned in. Alright Féleth, what other bands do you enjoy, and if you had to choose a favorite artist plus song, who and what tune would you choose?
Okay, other artists and band that I really enjoy. My favorite band of all time, I think I have to say, maybe is Ball of Possession. There's like those guys were like my first meeting with tech death when I was younger, and like I listened to their latest album in Curso, and the song Apparition, which was Apparition is like my number one song ever. To me, that was a real game changer when it came to music. Other bands that I really think is worth mentioning here is The Faceless. I don't think I have any other band that I have covered more song of than The Faceless, and their Autotheism. The whole Autotheism part 1, 2, and 3 are like just so fucking awesome. Like, I think Apparition is number 1, with Autotheism as definitely number 2. But I think it would be too bad not to mention other tech death bands that I really enjoy, like Psychroptic, Revocation, Archspire, The Senate Passage, and many more I just can't think of right now in the flyby. But you know, tech death, that's just, to me, that's where it's at.
Alrighty, we've got an interview going with Féleth from Norway. From Norway, Scandinavia. It's time for question number 8. Question number 8 for Féleth is: what are the band's plans for the future, speaking of music releases and concerts?
Yeah, our current plan for the future is just to like wait out the corona situation. Since we just have released a new album, we're aiming for doing some gigs, or like late release gigs. I'm hoping we can get those one going. And we were going to join at least the Northern Norway part of Deception's Norway tour. And we'll just have to wait for new dates on that one. Yeah. Other than that, we'll just keep on trying to make new songs, have some pre-production going, and just practice mad. We also have this in September coming now. We once a year, we in Féleth do a metal cover night with a local artist, and we'll gather up and like ask our friends like, hey, you want to play a bass on a song? You want to do vocals on some Maiden song, or like things like that, and we just do it for fun. And it always turned out to be like a big party. We just play metal and get drunk and have fun. But other than that, that's our current plans for the moment.
Back to Féleth, and the podcast would like to thank the band for taking their time to answer our interview questions. If you have anything to add, Féleth, feel free to do so here.
Thank you for having me. It's great fun to do our first podcast. And yeah, just remember to stay metal, wash your hands, and support your bands, Hopefully I see you guys on the road soon. Take care.
Silvermist in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown, now hits spot number 2. Due to be set to be released October the 5th. Here comes the album Question Everything and the track Reawakening. The track Reawakening from Question Everything, set to be released on October the 5th by Helium Prime. Stay tuned in. Silvermist in the Dark podcast, the best of the scene countdown. Now hit spot number 1. The time is now to stream up the band Black Fate from their album Ithaca, releasing on the 23rd of October 2020 this year. You will hear the track Fortress of Solitude. Alright, that wraps up episode number 47 of Metal Punk and Radio Talk with DJ Silvermist. You heard and you were tuned in to the best of the scene countdown number 3. You also heard the house guest, the special guest from the north of Norway, from Atla in Norway. You heard Féleth. Yes, indeed. thank you for listening. See you soon. Tata, shoo shoo, bye bye.